Hey guys, so we have the champion reveal for Taliyah up, so we're gonna take a look at it. When you open the page up, you have this very nice image of Taliyah. A lot of people are saying that she's pretty. I don't really think she's that pretty compared to the other characters in League, but I do like her art style a lot. I think it looks really neat. Especially like her scarf with like the stones on the end, and this here looks a lot like stone. So there's a lot of stone um, things in her artwork, which makes a lot of sense for her because she is a she manipulates stone and stuff, and I like her headpiece. So you can't see it very well in this, but when you get to the splash art, you can see it a lot better. So we'll go ahead and move on to the thing. So we have Taliyah The Stoneweaver. It's tough to be different, and Taliyah's earth-shattering powers have always set her apart from the crowd. She's a control mage who weaves the ground beneath her into a deadly weapon, and when she sets her sights on a destination, the world itself shifts to get her there. So we'll go on to her abilities. They're pretty straightforward. With a lot of the new champions, things have been really kind of complicated, so it's kind of nice that they kind of toned it down for her a little bit. But there are definitely some plays that are going to be difficult to do correctly and without messing up your team as well. So the first thing that we have is her passive, which is rock surfing. When out of combat, Taliyah builds movement speed whenever traveling near walls. So she just kind of walks along the wall and gains movement speed. She eventually starts surfing on this rock. So we'll take a look at the video so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm kind of guessing that that's without like boots and other movement items because it did seem pretty slow from there. Um, but it'll be a lot faster to get into lanes because you're as long as you got a wall, you can kind of surf along it. So her Q is threaded volley. The passive for it is Taliyah gains increased movement speed when traversing worked ground, which in this video here you can see is the circle here. This is the worked ground, and this has a lot to do with her Q. So the active is Taliyah rips apart the ground around her, firing a volley of 5 stone shards in a target direction while moving freely. Casting threaded volley converts the area into worked ground for a few minutes. Additional threaded volley casts over the ground will yield 1 rock projectile instead of 5. So when you do use her Q, you want to keep moving around so you aren't in these circles, so you can keep firing 5 instead of 1 at your champion, which was going to work out better for you than firing only 1. So we'll look at the video. So the next one is her W, which is seismic shove. Taliyah marks her target location. After a brief delay, the ground erupts, knocking up and damaging enemies caught in the blast zone. Taliyah can recast seismic shove before it erupts to throw victims in any target direction or even over walls. So we will take a look at that. So here she casts it and then recasts it, but you don't necessarily have to recast it. So it pushed Azir towards her, so it would be a lot easier for her to keep damaging him. But you can move your cursor around into whatever direction you want to shove them. So you can shove them this way if you're really low health and they're chasing after you. You can push them back this way. So it's harder for them to catch up to you. So then we have Unraveled Earth for her E. So Taliyah scatters boulders into the ground before her. Opponents who dash through the fractured earth take damage from the explosion. After a few seconds, any remaining rocks in the field erupt, dealing a second wave of damage. So it is a dash. So that would be like when Yasuo goes between minions or champions, kind of dashes around. So then that would activate these. But if you just walk through it, you won't take any damage unless you're there when they explode. So we'll take a look at that. So, and then it is in like a pyramid shape instead of like a straight line or a circle. It's more like a pyramid with her at the top and then the widest at the bottom. So then we have her R, which is Reaver's Wall. Taliyah briefly channels before summoning a massive wall of spiraling rock that tears through the rift in a target direction. Taliyah can reactivate Reaver's Wall while channeling it to ride atop the wall as it emerges, taking damage, or inputting a move command in any direction will cut her ride short. So this is like Aurelian Soul moving down the lane, except when you can cast a spell while you're doing that, and this one you can't. Or, well, you can, but it'll stop your movement along the ride. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. It does have a fair amount of distance when you look where you end up. So you end up, in the middle of mid lane from, way back here at your third tower. Yeah, third tower. So that you can use to like divide off people, or but it is a wall, so your allied champions can't move through it. They have to jump over it, and the same goes with enemy champions. So you could cut off, you could keep their squishies in front, and then their tanks behind it, so you can kind of chunk all those guys out and then move to the tanks. So then we just have kind of like the display of her in-game stuff. So this is what she looks like. Here's the headpiece I was talking about. You still can't really see it very well, but that's alright. Her alternate skin is a Freljord skin. So if you remember from the lore, that's where Yasuo told her to go. So I'm assuming that she got there eventually because they made a Freljord skin for her. So, and it's blue. So we'll take a look at that once I kind of get in game with her. So then we'll read all the stuff that they have for laning and who she's good against and who she's bad against, team fighting and stuff like that. So here's laning. Taliyah is all about control. She dictates when and where she fights by setting up a gauntlet of traps for her lane opponent to navigate. To win trades, she can close off a section of the lane with unraveled earth and knock her opponents into a trap with a well-placed seismic shove. With her opponent exposed, a threaded volley will melt their health. Spamming Taliyah's abilities in lane will slowly diminish her dueling power. However, since the ground that has been worked by threaded volley won't produce enough missiles to effectively stave off fast approaching attackers, experienced Taliyah players will work around this by carefully working strips of the ground in a trail leading to their tower. She can use the exhausted pathways as an escape route when thirsty enemy jungles come barreling into her lane. If she's winning trades and dodging ganks, Taliyah excels at pushing waves into towers with her area of effect attacks. Once she's pushed her wave, her passive lets her burst out her rock board and surf over to a friendly lane with tremor-inducing speed. She'll cruise alongside the map's walls, consistently gaining movement speed before blasting into a buddy's lane. Building an item like Luden's Echo gives Shurima's greatest and only surfer the means to dart around even faster, making her roams more deadly. These dividers are a headpiece too, which is kind of fun. So I like it. They kind of have like little touches in these that kind of make them special for each character. Like they have the ground pattern, her headpiece here. So it gives it more of a deserty Shurima look, which is where she's from. So that's, I really like that they do that. So then we go on to skirmishing. If you thought Taliyah's ganks were cataclysmic because of her passive, just wait until she hits level 6. Reaver's Wall will let her roam to other lanes with ease. The wall she rides on can block off escape routes for the poor souls that she chooses to gank. Clever Taliyah players will use her ult to instantly apply pressure to far-flung objectives on the map. The enemy team is taking Dragon? Excellent. Just cruise over there and fill up the pit with unraveled earth, and then blast the enemy jungler out of the fight using seismic shove. When they're fighting Baron but taking a lot of damage, sweet. Simply line up your ult to wall off the Baron pit with them in it, sealing the squishies in the oven, and prepare for a delicious feast for your teammates. Taliyah's strongest items allow her even greater control over her opponent's movements. When she dings a fleeing enemy with threaded volley while wielding Rylai's Crystal Scepter, the item's slow effect will make it that much easier for her to land her signature knock-up Unraveled Earth combo. Items that boost her low in-combat movement speed help the Stoneweaver quickly maneuver herself into the best spot so she can control any battle. So this is her actual splash art, so you can see her headpiece a lot easier. And they just kind of substituted the water that would normally make a wave, in the ocean with rock and sand and stuff. So it looks really nice because they kind of brought in the surfing aspect into our splash art too. And then we have team fights, which are next. In team fights, Taliyah's area of effect abilities give her masterful power over her enemy's positioning. She might use Seismic Shove to hurl incoming juggernauts away from the fight and then slow the enemy's team exposed backline with carefully planted Unraveled Earth. Taliyah's damageless ult means that she won't bring major burst power to fights, but she can unearth her Reaver's Wall to split their team in half, giving Taliyah and her team's chance to gang up on exposed enemies before moving into those left behind. Once a team fight has ended, Taliyah is able to press her advantage with speed and grace. Her passive allows her to rapidly cruise along jungle walls, catching up to escaping enemies or making her way to a far-flung tower. Once late game hits, she'll drop a third point into her ultimate, and its range increasingly enormously can steal the enemy's blue buff after a fight. When Reaver's Wall can double time it all the way to the enemy's Brambleback camp for a double buff. So we have synergy with Lucian, Lee Sin, and Poppy. So with Lucian the Pacifier, enemy frontliners will find themselves eating a relentless volley of rocks and bullets when running down Taliyah and Lucian. Plus, if the Purifier ever finds himself caught out, the Stoneweaver can ult and summon a rock wall near his location. Lucian's relentless pursuit allows him to easily dash over the wall to safety. Then we have Lee Sin, the Blind Monk. Lee Sin's powerful ganks combined with Taliyah's deadly roams can make the mid-game very scary for their opponents. They jive especially well in team fights when Lee uses Dragon's Rage to bunt enemy laners into Taliyah's Unraveled Earth, then kicks and stones will probably break their bones. Then we have Poppy, Keeper of the Hammer. Taliyah ganks are extra devastating with the Keeper of the Hammer uses her heroic charge to pin enemies to the Stoneweaver's wall. In teamfights, Poppy can unleash her hammer to deport deport opponents into the far side of the wall, splitting teams even further. And then she struggles against Zed, Master of the Shadows, Malphite, and LeBlanc. So for Zed, Taliyah is safe from nimble opponents as long as she's got Earth between her and them, but she struggles against baddies who can dodge her rock barrage and slip past her defenses. She'll want to stay well out of the Master of Shadows ult range or she'll find herself marked for death. Then we have Malphite, Shard of the Monolith. The Stoneweaver works best at the edges of team fights, but Malphite has a way of bringing the battle straight to his targets. The Shard of the Monolith's hard CC and engage are an anathema to Taliyah. It's hard to weave stone when a living boulder knocks you 10 feet into the air. LeBlanc, the Deceiver. If Taliyah can't catch up to a champion with her seismic shove, her damage output suffers. Enter LeBlanc, who's got enough tricks up her sleeve to keep Taliyah grounded and also dead. So then after that, we just have later this week we'll drop back in for some insights into Taliyah's development. Hype to tear up the rift with the Stoneweaver. Let us know in the comments, and they just have the discussion board down there. So that's the end for this, and then I will do the patch notes for the patch that just went live, and then I will work on all the stuff that is up on the PBE right now. We'll do a gameplay of Taliyah so everybody can kind of see how she works and her skins and stuff like that. If you guys can leave a like and a comment, that really helps me a lot because it helps me know what you guys like and what you don't like. You can like this video if you like it, and you can subscribe if you want to see more. So I will go ahead and work on the rest of those videos, and I hope that everybody has a nice day, which I will be saying multiple times today, but hopefully that'll make your day even better, because that's good. Alright guys, I'll see you later.